world GDP, which is today at 84 trillion, is projected to double over the next 20 years, all thanks to technological innovation. We need to recognize the speed of change, the acceleration of advancement as an unprecedented pace because of the exponentiality of computer technology. With that as a background, I want to shift to specifically the exponential tech of blockchain technology and crypto. The Bank of England says this is going to transform the global financial system. 76% of TradFi is developing blockchain technology right now. Global spending in 2021 was $6 billion. Last year it was $19 billion. Gartner says that the global blockchain market, which is right now $176 billion, by the end of the decade will be $3 trillion. PwC says it's going to add nearly $2 trillion to GDP by the end of the decade. The technology lets businesses operate faster, cheaper, safer, with greater transparency and inclusion. JP Morgan says it's going to save banks $120 billion a year in processing costs. We have to recognize that all of this is all about the evolution of the internet. The original internet that was developed in the 1990s, we now refer to it as Internet 1.0, was all about connecting people. Right? You used email and texting, later Facebook and Twitter, where we used the internet to connect with each other. Then we had Internet 2.0, the Internet of Things, where your phone is talking to your car. We now are embarking today on Internet 3.0, the Internet of Money. We are now moving money at the speed of the internet, which is an unprecedented phenomenon. And since the world runs around based on money, this is going to be massive. We're already using the internet as a payment platform for the movement of money, everything from credit and debit cards to all of the different services that most of these you are already using. The best illustration of this are cross-border transmittals. This is a nearly $200 trillion marketplace of moving money from one country to another, either person to person or business to business. And of that $195 trillion, about 3% of it, look at the bottom of the chart, is used by crypto. So of all the money that's being moved, most of it is going through the Fed, and most of it's going through SWIFT. It's going through bank wires, Western Union, but 3% of it is being done with Bitcoin or stablecoin or some other digital asset. It's projected that by the end of the decade, it is going to grow to $300 trillion, and crypto's share will be 20%. A 7x increase. 12% of global trade is cross-border transmittals. Think about migrant workers. They come here from South America, Central America, Africa, the Far East, for economic opportunity. Mama is still home in the old country. So what does the worker do? They send some of their paycheck back home to mom. Migrant workers send $1.2 trillion to over 800 million people every year. 60% of the average family's income comes from those cross-border transmittals. This is 3 times more than families receive from international aid. This is a huge number. Look at the amount of money that countries are receiving from cross-border transmittals. Over $100 billion goes into India. $60 billion flows into Mexico. Even China gets $50 billion. Some of these very small countries get a huge percentage of their annual GDP from money being sent into it from expats who have moved to other countries and are sending money back home. Crypto share is going to rise 7x by the end of the decade. Why? Because of unstable local currencies. If you live in Zimbabwe or Venezuela and you can't trust the value of the currency because of massive inflation where prices are doubling monthly, or a government that is corrupt and nationalizes banks, literally steals the money out of your bank account, you don't want to put money in a bank. The cost of transmittal, if you want to send money from New York to London, it typically takes 5 days and costs 6%. The cost is exorbitant. And people are becoming increasingly aware that there's an alternative. They can use crypto, which is faster, safer, and cheaper than doing it the old way. Just look at sending a wire cross-border. 5 days, 6% using the SWIFT system, which only operates during banking hours. With Solana, you can send that money in less than 1 second for a tiny fraction of a penny, and you can do this 24/7, no bank required. You don't even need a smartphone. An ordinary cell phone will do it. There's 1 billion people in the world who are unbanked according to the United Nations. They don't live anywhere near a bank, or they don't have enough money to afford being able to open a bank account because of either the minimum deposit required or the fees the banks charge. We're even talking about 7% of US households who are underbanked or unbanked. Payments technology of crypto allows this to occur faster, easier, safer, can't be manipulated by governments, extremely divisible, because the dollar only goes to 2 decimal points. With Bitcoin, it goes down to 9 decimal points. This is why there's 500 million people around the world who own crypto. We've got to change our thinking. Everybody keeps looking at Bitcoin saying, what do we need this for? Why do I need digital assets? Our banking system works fine. We all love to hate banks, but let's face it, it works just fine. Yeah, that's true here in the US, but it isn't true in the rest of the world. That's why the rest of the world is really interested in this technology. And for all of that, people are only a small, tiny piece of those remittances. It's governments and corporations that are sending most of the money. If you have heard of Kinesis. You know who Kinesis is operated by? JP Morgan. This is JP Morgan's private blockchain. They've got their own private blockchain. They've had it for 4 years. They do $2 billion in cross-border transmittals for their institutional clients per day. They've transmitted over $1.5 trillion so far on their own private blockchain. We've got over $5 billion tokenized of treasuries through public blockchains. That's a 10x increase in just 1 year. BlackRock and Franklin Templeton. Money market fund that is an app. It's not an account through your brokerage account. Higher yield, lower fees, instant 24/7 transactions. We already have 65 million Americans who own this. 28% of US adults own Bitcoin. PayPal lets everybody on its platform buy and sell goods using crypto. Walmart's got Bitcoin ATMs in all of its stores. Fidelity and Schwab both accept Bitcoin as charitable donations to their donor-advised funds. Last year, they collected over $400 million in Bitcoin donations. You think your clients, wealthy clients, aren't investing in Bitcoin? Well, who's donating the $400 million to these guys? You can now make political contributions to your favorite candidate in Bitcoin. You can pay your taxes in an increasing number of states in Bitcoin. You can pay for college tuition in an increasing number of colleges in Bitcoin. People say to me, well, what are the use cases? There aren't any. Really? Here's a sample of the B2B. Here's the B2C, the C2B, and the C2C. There's a huge number of technologies and use cases for this asset class.